Well, howdy folks. Today we are looking at the Royal Enfield Classic 500 starter relay, which is this thing right here. You'll see that there's a thin wire coming out here and it goes down into our control box here where all our electronics are. You'll see this out of focus, thick red wire coming out, going that way. That goes to the battery, which is the battery positive terminal just under here. That's tight. And then you see that orange wire? That comes out, goes down here. We follow that, goes down here somewhere. Okay, keeps going. Just ignore this thing just dangling here. That is the plug for the side stand switch, disconnected. So it goes down here, okay? And what it does, it loops in under here, through there, comes in here and goes to the positive terminal of the starter. So what we're doing today is testing to make sure that power is at least getting to the starter motor. In theory it should, but I have suspicions that there's something wrong with the starter relay and it's not. So we're going to try it and then we're going to whack it with a hammer and then we're going to try it again. See what happens. Got my multimeter set up here, set to 20 volts DC. Whoops. DC. That's DC, that's AC. And I've got my probes connected. Now what I've done is just use some banana cables or banana clips with some extension cables. I'm going to turn the bike on. You can hear the fuel pump prime. Okay, and I'm looking for voltage. Nothing. You can hear this. You can actually hear the relay half working, but no voltage. And when I press the starter button, nothing at all, no voltage. So let's turn the bike off, turn the multimeter off. We're gonna whack the starter relay with a hammer and see if it kind of kicks it. Righto, I needed 2 hands for the hammer, so let's turn the multimeter back on. Oh, and I've grounded the multimeter here, so you know, it's getting something. All right, let's turn the bike back on, wait for it to prime. Still nothing. So that's not surprising. All right, so I'm doing some more elimination. I've got the starter button connected up to my multimeter in the continuity setting, so we should hear a beep when I press the starter button. Okay, well, it's definitely not the starter button, and I would have suspected it's not. So let's continue down the line. All right, so we know that the switch is operating just fine. The next step is to check that when I press the switch, there is power getting to the relay. Now, what I've done is look at the schematic for this bike, and I've connected the multimeter to ground. I've also connected it to the blue wire with the white tracer, which is the wire that goes from this switch, from the starter switch, from here. And when I press that, it sends power to the relay. So this cable, this one that's hidden away, that one there should be a blue and white. So if I turn the bike on now and press the start button, it should show us that we're getting some voltage to the starter relay. Yep, seems a little bit low, but it's there. So the good news is at least supply getting to the relay, but the relay isn't connecting the battery to the starter motor. One last little trick, and it's a little bit dangerous. I could use my jumper cables that I've got, these little tiny piddly ones, and I could jump the battery 12 volt direct to the starter, and that'll crank the starter over. I'm only going to do it just a tap, just for a split second, so we shouldn't get the bike started. I'll have the ignition off anyway, in neutral, and don't want to do it for a prolonged period of time because it'll burn out these wires, because you're pumping, well, what, 30-40 amps of power to that starter motor. So I'm going to try that and see what happens. Alrighty folks, it's another day, and I've pulled out the solenoid. It's actually just a starter relay, it's not really a solenoid. A solenoid will push in and out, it's a physical switch, whereas this is really just a high-powered relay. And it's just got a part number on there, 250409. That does not equate to the part number that we need, but I've got a new one here. I'm just going to make sure that it all fits okay and put it back in. Where it actually goes is, see these two bolts here, or two bolt holes. It goes there, and one of the plugs, don't know if you can see this, there's the plug that comes from the starter switch. This plug here is the one that goes to the other side of the switch, and I think it just grounds out. We have the negative battery terminal and the positive battery terminal. The positive battery terminal is actually attached to the starter solenoid. So folks, I'm going to compare this with the new packet before I open the packet, make sure that these plugs are the same. These ones are okay. So that one goes to the starter, which goes onto that stud there. And then this one here goes to the positive battery terminal. So let's compare the two. And of course, the plug is different because Royal Enfield. It's the same problem I had with the ignition a few months ago. Excuse the wind noise, ladies and gentlemen. It is blowing an absolute freaking gale out here. It's ridiculous. I had Chris Keeble here this morning, and I wired up her phone charger, USB phone charger, to her ignition system so that it could turn on and off with her ignition and not drain the battery. It was fun soldering and heat shrinking in this weather. Also, it's like 30 degrees. Luckily, I'm sitting in the shade. But hey, look, fun stuff. So I'm gonna have to chop this off, solder it onto here, and then we'll have a switch that actually works. Thanks, Royal Enfield. Actual part number from the microfiche. Thanks. Alrighty folks, so I've got the new starter solenoid in. It's just hiding under here. I'm just going to snug these bolts up. Didn't have to take the seat off, but I did have to loosen it off, so that's worth it, just to give you a little bit of extra access for these two 10mm bolts here. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to show you, but I did wire in the old plug onto the new solenoid, the double wire that goes in there. Plug this plug in, plug that plug in, plug the negative terminal in, which goes to the bottom of the starter here. Okay, and then this is your positive coming out, goes in underneath here, comes up around, and this is where it sticks out of. I'm going to tuck that in nicely with some zip ties, so don't worry about that. And then the other end goes in behind the battery box, comes in around here and pops up onto here. Now I've mounted this battery here like this, but I've noticed the cable is actually making contact with the throttle position sensor here, so I don't know if I'm going to have to put it on top and bend it a bit, or bring it around the side. I don't think I can mount it on the side on this battery, so I'm just going to see if it's going to fit with the battery cover and everything. We'll see what happens. I don't believe it will. It starts every time, so let's check it out. Key on. You can hear the pump. I'll just bring it up near the tank. Actually, I'll bring it up right near the pump. You can hear that. And even with the lights on now, whereas prior, I couldn't even turn the bike on with the lights on. It is in neutral, good. And it starts without fail. Well, the bike will start. ladies and gentlemen. That ticking sound is just the that's just the decompressor because the revs were too low because the engine's dead cold. That's it, guys. Look, I'll be honest with you, it's not an easy job. It's not a hard job, but it's a bit of a pain in the bum, especially trying to route the new positive lead from here to the starter solenoid. You got to go around the back of the battery box. It's very, very tight. You can see my fingers, they're filthy, they're dusty more than anything. It's not really grease, it's just road grime, dirt and dust that's sort of all tucked away back here that doesn't get washed. So I'm going to see if I can get this battery box back on and see what happens. If not, we'll figure something out. But if so, then yeah, Bob's your uncle. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe, please like and share. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Success, the bike starts on its own accord now, so that's great. And I'm happy to see that working again because I was stuck a few times. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Thumbs up, and remember, keep it twisted.